Wait, like I told you, fuck the guy.
Right.
Get lots of like on YouTube.
Vayikra Moshe l'chazik Yisrael. Moshe called in all the Zakanim. Vayom Aleim, and he gave them the instructions which they were to pass on to the people. Vayom Aleim, Mishru, Ukuchulachem Tzoin. Literally, draw to yourselves a sheep. The Mishpachos Seichem for every family. V'shachat to our Pasach and shech the Korban Pesach. So why? I never thought this before till today. Why did you have to tell the Zakanim? Why were the Zakanim given the zechus of passing around the very first mitzvah, the Klal Yisrael? Why were they given the zechus? Sometimes you get in the Torah, Moshe gathers everybody. Moshe speaks to everybody. So why couldn't you do it here? So you could say practically, they weren't all in one place. Yeah, you say practically. But the Medrash says the Davar Nifla. The Medrash says, when Moshe Rabbeinu came the first time with the code word, he went to the Zakanim first. And it's only because they accepted it, they passed the message round. If they would have said, no, we don't believe you, it would have stopped there. So Kosh Baruch Hu said the Zakanim deserve a reward for that. And therefore, they'll have a zechus. Because the Geula came about because the Zakanim accepted it and passed it around Klal Yisrael, they can pass the first mitzvah around Klal Yisrael. Okay, so what's Kechulachem? So take for yourself a sheep. It says Mishru. Mishru, what does it mean to pull? Pull away. Take one. It could say just Kechu. Take one. It could say just take one. So what's Mishru? What's this Mishru? Gingy, what's the score? What's the score? Oh, all right, okay. What's Mishru? What's this drawing away? Pulling away. What's this pulling away? So Chazal say, because Baruch said, right, you're going to have to make a decision now. Anyone who stays with the Avodah Zarah of Mitzrayim is not coming out. If you want to come out, Mishru, you've got to pull away from it. You're going to take the Avodah Zarah of Mitzrayim and you're going to shech it to Korban Pesach. You've got to pull away. It's now a choice. It's a decision now or never. You want to come out, you've got to reject the Avodah Zarah. Till now, they couldn't pull away from it. So now it became a decision. You've got to make a decision. Now you find this, truth is, in life, very often you get this. You find that the ego, Mila Hashem Elai, the Kohen made a decision. Sometimes, Eli, the Cheshbonon, you're going to stand up and be counted, right? There's no wavering, this side of the fence, that side of the fence. Sometimes you're going to make a decision. Am I with HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Am I not with HaKadosh Baruch Hu? So they have to make this decision. So the Chodesh Chaim once told the Ponovitch had problems in Ponovitch, like the whole of Eastern Europe. The Maskilim were causing trouble in the town. In Ponovitch. Every town had this problem. Every town they all had it. And they threatened him. So they said to him, if you don't make changes in the town, we're going to go to trouble. So he wasn't sure how to handle it. So he went to his Rebbe, the Chodesh Chaim. He said, Rebbe, what should I do? So he said to him, you have to make a choice. He said, do you want HaKadosh Baruch Hu on your side, or do you not want them on your side? He said, it doesn't matter how many they are. He said, if you've got HaKadosh Baruch Hu on your side, you'll win. If you haven't, you won't. Now make your decision. Now very often we waver. We think this way, we think that way, that way. There's one decision. Is HaKadosh Baruch Hu on my side? Am I doing what he wants, or am I not on his side? And if you're not, you've got a problem. So here, Klal Yisrael have to Mishru. HaKadosh Baruch Hu take the jump, pull away from it, and take the Korban Pesach and shecht it. Shechting was not just an act of Avodas Hashem, it was an act of rejection of Avodah Zarah. And that's why they had to roast it, and that's why they had to put the blood on the doorpost. Now, the machlokas, was it on the inside or the outside? Very interesting. If it's on the outside, then the Mitzrayim had to see it. It was effectively sticking two fingers up in the Mitzrayim. Effectively. That's what they were doing. Right? They had to say to Mitzrayim, this is what we think of your Avodah Zarah. It's nothing. We're taking it and we're going to serve a Kadosh Baruch Hu with it. If it's on the inside, so it's a lesson for them. It's a lesson for kind of, but if it's on the outside, now the reason why it has to be roasted, the smell of roasted meat goes further than cooked meat. The Mitzrayim had to smell it. They had to know. The Jews couldn't hide what they were doing. That's taken 4 days early. Normally in Yerushalayim, you can buy it every place afternoon, not a problem. We're here 4 days early, tied to your bed or tied to your door, or it's running around the yard, whatever it's doing. And they had to do it. That's why it's called Shabbos HaGadol. It was but anyway, yeah. The Chayr is all one room, no? Stone. But the point was, no hiding. You're going to make a public declaration. I am now with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'm no longer with the Avodah Zarah Mitzrayim. Okay? And my first actually. Yeah, Rashi goes to the finger on the inside. The question is when the Torah says Lachal, does it mean for you to exclude other people or not? Is it for you? But it doesn't matter what other people feel. So it's a matter of Rashi. We all go with Rashi. Yeah. Okay. Take a bunch of hyssop. Hyssop is a lowly bush. Says the Medrash, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the biggest cedar tree and the lowest bush is the same. In front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, there's no gaiva, there's no haughtiness. There's 3 mitzvahs in the Torah that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, take that little bush on the ground and do what I want to do with it. You dip it in the blood. The Gaten, you have to put a spritz along the lintel, the crossbar. They'll stay on mezuzahs. And the three, there's the 2 doorposts, sorry. The 3 times they have to dip the blood, 1 across, 1 down, and 1 down. Because Rashi goes with inside, but there is the finger of Yitzchak in the Mechilta, so it was on the outside. But we normally go with it. Rashi says the inside, so everyone knows that Rashi. So what's the idea of dipping the blood and putting it on the doorpost? So Rav Hirsch said there was no mizbeach. This was the carbon. The carbon, you put the blood on the mizbeach. There was no mizbeach. So what became the mizbeach? The Jewish home. You've got to consecrate your house back on the not just a shul, not just a base of medrash, not just a base of mikdash. Your home's going to be a mokum avodah. Yeah? Everyone's got a shtibul. Everyone down by the coastal. Right? That's what Rav Hirsch says. The medrash says something beautiful. It says, Keneged, there's 2 opinions. Is it Avraham Yitzchak Yaakov, the obvious, or is it specifically to do with Avraham Avinu? Avraham Avinu built 3 mizbechos. So to commemorate the 3 mizbechos of Avraham Avinu, they have to put the blood 3 times on the door. But what's the connection? So now, the Arizal tells us that the Christ were on level 49, that's why they had to come out very quickly. The base lady asked, what would have happened had they gone into level 50? What would have happened? They still haven't been with any cliff or higher. So why would they not have been able to come out if they'd gone into level 50? Says the base Levi, explains what the Arizal means. He said, the hat should be, Abraham was told, your descendants will be slaves, and I will take out your descendants. If they would have gone into level 50, they would no longer be considered the spiritual children of Avraham Avinu anymore. The connection to Avraham Avinu would have gone. It would have gone. So in a spiritual sense, there had no connection anymore. So therefore, the promise to Avraham Avinu would have had no one to go on, maybe Sheva Levi, but it wouldn't have had to go on. So on the night of the Siyas Mitzrayim, they had to identify with the Ovis. We're holding on, we're still there with the Ovis, or with Avraham Avinu, who was the first public in the world. He taught the world Emunah. They were holding on level 50, holding on by their fingertips, and they were saying, we're still there. We're still there with Avraham Avinu's mission of believing, and we will also continue his work of being a Pharisee Emunah in the world. So they had to identify with the others on the night of Siyas Mitzrayim to show we're still there, we're still connected, and now we can come out. We haven't gone into level 50. The Orach HaMikdash says in a few places, the reason why they couldn't go to level 50 was because it was before Matan Torah. They didn't have the Kedusha of the Torah. He says, but before Mashiach comes, Chinese are going to have to go to level 50. And that's why today we've got big problems. You find we should go out, say the most crazy things against the Torah. Yiddins, left-wing Yiddins, liberal Yiddins. What's going on? Chinese have gone into level 50, which is like complete denial. Reform, all the Chevra out there, wherever they are. Whatever. Say, but that is level 50. It's never happened before in the history of Kurdistan. The last 200 years, we've sort of gone into level 50. So he said, because with the Torah, you can turn anything around. You can turn anything around. So now, we're able to do it, go into level 50. Okay. So Moshe Rabbeinu says, "Va'ava Hashem lingo ves Mitzrayim." Hashem's going to pass through to Shmais Mitzrayim. He'll see the blood. Ufosach Hashem ala Pesach. Found a medrash, unbelievable medrash. There's 3 psukim talking about Kadosh Baruch Hu passing over. One says, "Ufosachti aleichem," I will pass over you. This one says, "Ufosach Hashem ala Pesach," over the door. And the third pasuk says, "Kadosh Baruch Hu passed over the batim, the Jewish houses." The 3 psukim. One says, "I'll pass over you." One says, "I'll pass over the doorpost." And one says, "I'll pass over the houses where the Yidden live." There's the medrash. If there was a shchuna of Yidden, and the goy with the next shchuna, so Hashem passed over all the houses. That's one pasuk. If it was a Yid lived next door to a goy, Hashem passed over one house. That's the Pesach. And if there was a Yid and a goy living in the same house, Hashem passed over you. Jumped over the Yid, and it's nice to go. He got killed. That's right. So that's it. Hashem said, "I'll only pass over you." So the next guy next to you in the house, they tried to hide the Bechorim in the Jewish houses. So Hashem said, "I'll pass over you, and I'll smash him. Pass over the next to you." So sometimes it was an individual Jew, sometimes an individual house, and sometimes a shchuna of Jewish houses, wherever it was. Now, there's a famous joke that the Goyim call Pesach Passover. What do Yiddish businessmen call Chagi? Turnover. Right? So, okay. Now, the next time the should have brought Korban Pesach was in Eretz Yisrael. Really, it's a mitzvah which depends on Eretz Yisrael. Now, the big thing of Satan now we talk about is the 4 sons. The it shall be, your children will say to you, your sons will say to you, now, this is very strange. Which son is this? The Russian. But it says Vahaya. The Gemara says Vahaya is always an expression of Simcha. So what's the Simcha? Vahaya there you go. And then look at the next passage. You say to him, Zerah Pesach with Hashem is a Korban Pesach for Hashem. Hashem Pesach al-Bot, Ibn Yisrael, Hashem took to the Yiddish house. When he smacked, when they heard this, these psukim, they bowed down and thanked Hashem. Rashi says, for the Gula, for coming to Eretz Yisrael, the promise of coming to Eretz Yisrael, and Basura Sabonim, the information that they're going to have children. But we're talking here about the Ben Roshas. What's the big simcha? The answer is, the fact he asked the question shows he's interested. His behavior now might not be as good as you want it to be. But if he really wasn't interested, he wouldn't come to the Seder. He wouldn't be there. He wouldn't be talking to you about it. The fact he talks to you about it shows deep down he's struggling, he's having it hard, but he's still interested. He still wants to know. And that's a simple. I mean, guys all being told, you'll either have the very, very best, and even those of you who think are not that good, don't worry. Deep down, they really, really want to be connected. What? Sometimes you have to be sharp. Sometimes you have to give them the proverbial kick up the, right? Sometimes you have to do it. But it's a simcha. The fact is there, and he's asking questions. Someone told me a amazing thing. A big guy in Kirill. He said the Chilonim and Eretz Yisrael who try the Chayv the most against the Charedim, they become the biggest Balichum. They're the biggest Balichum. Why? Because the fact they're shy about it, it hurts them. So it's bothering them. So they're shouting. And they become the biggest Balichum. Those who don't want to know, they keep quiet. Have nothing to do with you. What? You know, they say a thing as well about teachers in school. The teacher you imitate the most are the ones you like the most. Those you don't like, you don't want to think about them. You don't want to remember them. The ones you imitate the most, those are the ones you like the most. Okay, so it's a very interesting thing. So the fact is, it's for higher, because if they're asking questions, it means deep down, that's what they want. Okay. Now, the most amazing puzzle now. And we learn so much from this puzzle. You can spend the whole share just on this one possible. So they got the orders from Moshe Rabbeinu from the Zakanim. Vayelchu vayasu b'nei Yisrael. They went and they did. Kashativ Hashem as Moshe, exactly like Hashem told Moshe. Moshe Aaron came after, so they did it. What's Vayelchu and what's Vayasu? We're talking about Rosh Chodesh Nisan, and it's 10 days later they're going to take it, and 2 weeks later they're going to shecht it. So what's Vayelchu? Where did they go? So Rashi brings the Chazal. This is where we learn Schar Halicha from. Just for the walking, to go and get a sheep, before you bought the sheep, the walking to a mitzvah, you get Schar for the mitzvah. Now, there's a very interesting thing. If you've got 2 shuls to daven in, and you're happy to daven in both, you're supposed to actually daven, all things being equal, the shul's further away. To get more Schar. To get more Schar. So why is it so important to get more schar? What does it do to you? Very nice, get a bigger check and all right. What's the thing getting more schar? Oh, it shows you, yes, that's right. Your max a bit more. You put more effort into it, it shows it means a lot to you. And therefore, you can get more schar. You can do the mitzvah in a better way. This generation, we've grown up very pampered. We like it easy, chill, and take it easy, go easy. It's not really true. The more effort you put into it, the more difficult it is, really. The more you enjoy things and the more you're nana from it. My Uncle Joe was told me, he was told Chaim, I was standing there. He said, if you want the brass, you have to graft. And I quote this regularly. He said, what's the more? He said, grafting is mama's putting, you have to win. There's no quick way, there's no easy way. There's no, in life, that's not how Hashem made it. The gear which goes in, that's what you get out. You reap what you sow. And if you put a lot of koich into it, the bracha comes accordingly. It comes accordingly. Always remember it. You want the brass, you have the graft. Right? So, Vayelchu, Vayasu. They hadn't done it yet. But the Torah says, Vayasu. Say Chazal, if you accept upon yourself to do a mitzvah, even though you haven't done it yet, because Baruch Hu already gives you the sra now, as if you've done the mitzvah. Says Rabbeinu Yoina in Shari Teshuvah. He says the 6 ways a person does Teshuvah. Do you want to know the quick way of doing Teshuvah? Says Rabbeinu Yoina, he brings this puzzle, he brings this chazal. He said if a person sincerely, or Rosh Hashanah, or Kippur, or Elul, whenever he does it, he's mekabel on himself. From now on, I am going to keep the Torah. I intend. I just don't know everything, so I'm going to learn. I'm going to make an attempt to learn. But he makes a Kabbalah now. Says Rabbeinu Yoina, he gets the schar of all 630 mitzvahs immediately. He says, "Oh, if it's a sincere emotion, he's now become about teshuvah." What? No, he's ignorant. He doesn't know, but he's got to make a sincere effort. From now on, whatever I'm taught, I'm going to put into practice. Whatever I learn, I'm going to do it. He says, "So the only we learn from here is by Yasu. It's as if you've already done it, like a nas of a nishma, and you get the schar now." He says, "Ashraf." These are the words he says. Ashraf, how fortunate is such a person? He's just been matchstick his neshama in a moment. Very good. Another ayah. Yeah. The Gemara says if a guy, even if he's a Rosh, he goes up to a woman with a kiddushin, and he says, "Hareini mikadesh oisach, harem kadesh is li almanos on kiddushin shani tzadik gomu." Right? The Gemara says even if he's a Rosh Gomu, the Sophic kiddushin. The Gemara says, you know why? It could be Shema, perhaps. Here at Shuvah, he thought about doing Shuvah as he was saying it. So how does it make him a tzaddik gomo? With this Rabbeinu Yoina, it's fantastic. With a sincere hero, with a true hero, Ashraf Shetzinik Nashem B'Shakale. In one moment, he's turned it all around in a moment. Quite incredible. You say that's so sometimes you see it. Not so much in England, because the English are very slow, cautious. You got to think about it. We take time to change it. Yeah? But in Israel, you find this, a guy can go to a seminar, you hear the share, and he'll come out, he'll put sentences on, he'll cover it by a couple, he'll do it. They go much quicker. They make hachlafas much quicker. So Rabbeinu Yoina says, we learn from here, it's possible to make a hachlafah in 1 second, and that's it. You've overturned everything in one second. Okay. So Vayihi b'chatzi halayla, at the stroke of midnight, Hashem Hika called Bechor Beres Mitzrayim. Hashem killed every Bechor in Mitzrayim. Bechor Paro Yeshua from Paro's son, Ad Bechor Hashvit, all those in the prisons. Hashem Beres Abba Bechor Bechor Behema. Now, what's this Bechor? It keeps on mentioning Bechor. The Erech HaMakodesh, that's very interesting. He said, how come Golus Mitzrayim was longer and more difficult for us than any other Golus? Okay, this Golus has been longer, but it's not been quite as intense as the Golus Mitzrayim was in those 86 years. So he explained, I don't know exactly what these concepts mean, he said, but the concept of Bechor, the first one, is usually like the best or the strongest. He said that clipper was destroyed on that night. The concept of a shibud on Klal Yisrael, which had the title Bechor, the first and the best and the strongest, Eli was wiped out. So though Klal Yisrael went back into Golus, it was never as strong again. Sometimes Klal Yisrael we have to got stuck in Golus. He said, but it was never ever as strong as Koach HaTzuma, never reached that level again like it was in Mitzrayim, because it was completely destroyed on the night of Yetzias Mitzrayim. Now, Savayik, why would you go into it? Because it's not as strong as it was then, probably. That was then. So before Mashiach comes, if you go in that, we'll come out of it because then we couldn't go there. Mitzrayim had it. We couldn't go. Yes. Mitzrayim broke. The Tumah of God was safe to go in. It's always there. That's always there. Anyway, in the world, it's there. But Klal Yisrael can come out of it, so it's safe to go. Let us go into it now. So, Vayokom Paralayla, Para gets up at night. So Rashi says one word, Mimi Tosse from his bed. What's Rashi telling us? Yeah, it's just incredible. Eli Gold, what's telling us?
Apparently,
Where
the animals died, the donkey never died.
What's that doing now?
And then it says, the donkey never died because we could keep it inside.
What's that? What's going down? What's the next one now? Where you come back at it? Now think about this. 9 times out of 9, Moshe Rabbeinu. He's giving a warning about that. Expect rather agitated. He went to bed as if nothing was doing. As if nothing. That's telling us. He went to bed. How can a guy go to bed? How can a guy go to bed? Some people that are scared they'll miss a plane early in the morning. They stay up all night. They won't go to sleep. I might not get up. There's a bit of a packet in the morning. Or you got tomorrow. The guy's got a court case tomorrow morning. He can't sleep the night before, right? So here you see an incredible koach of a human being. You can block out what you want to block out. You can be shown everything right in front of your eyes. 9 times out of 9, everything he said came true. And he's given the most severe warning yet. Good night. Into his pajamas with his funny hat on, and off he went to bed. And now he gets up, and this is Parry pajamas in the middle of the night, isn't it? Yeah, this is what happened. He says, there wasn't one house where there wasn't somebody dead. So Chazal say if there was a Bechor, the Bechor died. If there was no Bechor, the most senior member of the family died. It applied to the females. Even the firstborn girl also died. He said if a woman had been unfaithful and she had 10 mamzerim, they were all Bechorim, the whole lot died. It was far more than they thought they were going to get. Now I'll tell you a story about this pasuk. This pasuk is 2 psukim after Shishi. My sister Debbie reminded me today. She said 30 years ago was the Gulf War, and I was in Yerushalayim at the time. So my yeshiva in Rechavia, the Balkari used to come from outside the yeshiva Shabbos morning. Where the Balkari used to come in, but because the yeshiva was sealed, the proper lockdown. Now was a lockdown, so we slept in the base of Medrash, and I realized that the Balkari won't be able to come. So because it was my bar mitzvah center, so I knew it. So I offered to learn that. I asked him, you want me to learn on Shabbos? Oh, they're really happy. They had a Balkara. because we slept in the base of Medrash, where you literally rolled out of bed into shackles with the dream ticket, yeah? Couldn't be late. You couldn't be late. You couldn't sleep in the shackles. Let me tell you something. I actually slept on the bench. Yeah, unbelievable. It's so comfortable. I'll tell you, as long as your head's got like a pillow to keep you level, and as long as your head's all right, it is so comfortable to sleep on it. It sounds silly. It's rock hard. It's very, very comfortable. To sit on a hard surface, sleep on a hard surface is actually very good for you. Yeah. No, I was there about 2-3 weeks. The one book had a joke. You know, it says the same thing, you make a hayom, and call make a halela, it's nighttime. So it says, David the Melech says, Shivti B'Beis Hashem, call you make a you make hayom, call you make a in the nighttime. And then we were sleeping in the base of Medrash. So because we're in the base of Medrash, we're having dates. So we got about 5 o'clock and they got us all up. And so I started laning. So I get to Shishi, so I start Shishi. As I got to Ki'ain Bayis Hashem and Shomeis, the sirens went off. And the sirens meant 45 seconds, the scud was over, it was already reached 80 So I heard the sirens. Ki'ain Bayis Hashem, I looked up at the Rosh Hashiva, and he said to me, you got to say a third posuk before you finish. So he said, lend another posuk, and we'll stop. So then we put the gas mask on. You sit it out till you hear it all clear, and then we carried on lady. But I wanted an aliyah. My mum said, there's going to be an extra aliyah now. And so I whispered to the gabber, look, we've got a spare aliyah now, can I have it? But my mum said so. She started to laugh. I said, what's so funny? He said, Rosh Hashiva said, give me an extra aliyah. He said, he'd already had you down for an aliyah. So, but it's quite amazing. As I said, you hear my show, amazing. You can hear them all come in. Right? David, see? David, every time bring you in, David. Okay. So now, Vayikra Moshe, he goes looking for Moshe and Aaron. And Rabbi Alta says it has to think the kids sending him up the wrong alleyways and everything. That's what Chazal say they did. So Paris mom is running around with everybody. Vayoyim, look what Paris says. And this passage is very interesting. He says, Kumu tsu'u mitoichami, get up and go out for my people. Gamatem, you, Gambane Yisrael, the men, the women, the children, go and serve Hashem like you said. Everything I said is an oath. Everything, all my reservations, everything I said, not this, not that, forget it all. Go. Everything that you said, then he has the chutzpah. Please give me a bracha. That should survive. Yeah. So why is it so important? Parah had to say these words. And Chazal say Paro's voice went around the whole of Mitzrayim. The whole of Mitzrayim heard this. So I never understood it. It says in it says Paro had a contract. He had a contract. That was the heavenly decree. Well, it says they were there 430, because what that means. He had a contract. If you want to release the contract, you need both sides to agree. Both sides have to agree to release you from the terms of the contract. He had 190 years credit left on his contract. So Kleisel couldn't wait any longer. They would have gone to level 50, couldn't have come out. So Gashmog squashed the shibud until it's 210. All right, that's all the cheshbonos. But Paro's got a contract. So he had to say, I release you from everything. And that's why I had to say every detail. You and your kids and the women and the animals and the this and that. Everything. He had to say every lock, stock, and barrel. Otherwise, they couldn't come out. Because their heavenly decree can't be broken. And Paro, who had the rights to it, had to release them from it. And now you understand what an amazing thing it was. The Kaisar believed Moshe Rabbeinu. They knew they were supposed to be there 400 years. So if someone turns up, maybe with a nice long white beard, and tells you you're coming out now, it didn't make sense. It was a big emunah to believe him that they were coming out early. And that's why you find in the Torah, when things got rocky, they said, let's go back to Mitzrayim. It must be we got it wrong. We've got to sit it out for 400 years. That's the cheshbon. Why would they want to go back to Mitzrayim? The answer is they thought that's what it has to be. So they believed Moshe Rabbeinu. They came out, but when it got bumpy, they thought maybe we got this wrong and we have to go back. It wasn't a rebellion against Hashem. We have to go back. So now, it's obviously the next morning because they couldn't leave at night. So the Mitzrayim would go around banging on the Jewish doors. Get out, just take your stuff and go. Now look at this. This is amazing. Listen to this. They lifted up their dough before it became chometz. The leftovers of the matzah and the morah, they wrapped it up and they put it on their shoulders. They didn't put it on. This was their first mitzvah they had from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It meant so much to them, they didn't want to let go of it. They kept it on them, so I'm carrying it personally. They didn't want to let go. Yeah, I think this is where it comes from. Yeah, you do what I say tonight, Chaim? You walk on the table with matzah on your back, and your father does it?
Yeah.
No? Yeah, you do it? Yeah. So the matzah, the Issa Chometz is not on the first batch of matzahs. Early on Seder night, they already had Pesach matzah more a few hours earlier. So the matzah we eat on Seder night is not the first matzah, it's the second one, it's this batch. The second batch didn't have time to become Chometz because they were kicked out. So when we commemorate this one, which was at the moment of departure, we remember that by not having Chometz. It's the second batch, not the first batch. Okay? Now, it says they did as they were told. And then the night before, the 14th, now, let's get cash. Sorry?
That was the first minute.
Oh, possibly. Okay, so Achila. This is Achila, yeah. First carpenter. Rashi said gold and clothes. Rashi brings on the Mechilta. What's mentioned later in the Apostle was more valuable to them. Now, Shimon and Moshe, yeah? All right? If I'd offer you a bucket of gold, a bucket of silver, or a bucket of clothes, which one would you take? Gold? Right? The Chol would take gold. David, you take gold? Yeah? Right? So how come smaller? How can the clothes be mentioned? Rashi says, that was worth more to them than the silver and the gold. What's mentioned later on the pasuk is more chashuv. How can clothes be more valuable than gold and silver?
They shouldn't be some.
Didn't change the clothes. Doesn't mean didn't change the clothes. Well, they would have been actually. Probably would have been. But did they know that yet? I don't think
Yeah, but it was still worth it to take gold. Gold that on changing clothes. There's no refinement within the desert.
So I think part of the answer could be.
Yeah, they're going to carry gold.
Yeah, there was no gold was sterling in the desert. Everybody had plenty of bullion, so it's all right. So, but the thing is like this. Nowadays, clothes to us don't mean very much because you go to Primark and you can buy 20 t-shirts and 20, clothes today to us, it's manufactured in such abundance. People have so many clothes. It doesn't really mean much to us. But in the old days, everything was handmade, man-made. To have extra clothes was a big thing. So gold and silver, pretty much, you get anywhere. But now, don't forget, Egypt is famous for two textiles, cotton and linen, both white. And this was now, if you're leaving a place where you got the best stuff in the world, makes a lot of sense as well. You're not going to leave it behind. That is irreplaceable, technically. They can't go back to Mitzrayim in a hurry. So they took with them these clothes, which were the most chashuv clothes you can get your hands on. Now, linen and cotton are both white. Says the Ksav Sofer, unbelievable. He said, what do they do with these clothes? He said, if you look in the Aseret HaDibros in Yisroi, 2 weeks' time, it says the reason for Shabbos is to remember my Bereshis. If you look in Voice Chanan, it says the reason for Shabbos, the second reason, is to remember Yetzias Mitzrayim. Says the Ksav Sofer, these clothes they wore on Shabbos, they were their Shabbos clothes. And every Shabbos they put the clothes they took out of Mitzrayim to remember on Shabbos. It's part of the Cheshbon of Shabbos is to remember you came out of Mitzrayim to fulfill this mitzvah. That's why it was so special. It was a Chevish Shal mitzvah. To be malachim. People give other reasons for which so happy. It doesn't make sense. None of these reasons make sense. I'll tell you the real reason. On Seder night, we've got to relive. We came out of Mitzrayim. They came out with white clothes. So in the Arab countries in the Middle East, everyone has white clothes. No problem in Europe, Northern Europe. What white clothes has anyone got? The only thing a man would have was his kittel. So he puts the white clothes on Seder night, not because of kittel. It's to relive. It's to relive the way we came out of Mitzrayim. That's the real Makar. That's the real reason why you wear a kittel. That's the only white clothes we've got, apart from a white shirt. Yeah? But in Sephardi countries, in Middle Eastern countries, that was a normal thing to wear, especially on Shabbos. Apparently, the Mekabolim only wear white on Shabbos. That was the Mekabolim. So that was a nice Mekabolim thing to wear kittel. They just wore the white Shabbos clothes, the white Yom Tov clothes, or Seder night. But really, that's all we've got. So therefore, it became a minhag to wear the white garment you had, and that's the real Makor of the. That's what I think personally. I haven't seen it anywhere. So if you find it anywhere, I'll be very happy. Of why where the Makor comes to wear a kittel on Seder night. Okay, just a little bit of Abbas Chesed. So the Chavis Chaim says something very, 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 you can say scary, not scary in a way, but it's very, very, you see how the Chavis Chaim had his thing understood human beings, understood their nature. He's saying if Chazal put a limit on giving stock of 20% and say you can't even give all your money away, for the stocker, you've got to be careful. How much more so is the person be careful how he spends the other 80% not to waste it? And listen to this. These are the words he says. He says, we can learn from this. Don't waste your money. He said, if even for the biggest of mitzvahs, Chazal say you can't give all your money for that. He said, how much the more so? You should be careful. He said, many people spend their money just on presenting an image. They want to make out that they're honorable people. The classic one, buy big Audi A8s. People buy these things, right? Right? Listen to this. Listen to what the Chavis Chaim says. Unbelievable word. Listen to this. He says, people will buy Armani suits and Gucci suits, who knows what. They buy houses which are really beyond their ability to finance. They have servants. He says, they have everything. She calls all these things, just spend your money. Very quickly. At the end, he usually ends up in massive debt. Usually that's what's behind it all. And heaven knows what could end up. Listen to this. He says, where does it come from? People want to present an image. They think it'll be better in business if they look as if they're doing well. Yeah, only the humans do that. Right? So he says they want to present an image that they're doing well, they're successful, and they get the big deal. And they get these words, unbelievable. It says, Yodati gav Yodati. I know very well, says the Abbas Chesed. Es Tanas HaYetzer. How did the Yetzer persuade you? Shemeses la'adam b'tchilos iloyma. This will help me, she calls them, Moyle Panasosa. Help me in business. That means people will think I'm rich. Yamin, they'll let me big amounts of money. Yamin, they'll back off, they give me credit. Mom and Harber is that it's all nonsense. They find out very quickly what you're worth, especially nowadays. You do credit checks and all these things they can do. He says, Shekala Olam Yoid, it's all nonsense. He says, Al-Gamza Hevel. Shekala Olam Yoidim, everyone knows this stickle. The Dorshim, the Chorkim, Achin, this Galim, they find out what you're really worth. All this money you spent to promote an image, to present an image, he said, it's all for nothing. And not only that, he says, your kids will really think you've got it, and they'll also start living on this standard, get you to pay more and more and more. He says, Bonava Benoisa, when they see the way you're living, he says, Sobran Be'emes, they really think it's true, Shavim who Ashigodl. So they start overspending. He said, so eventually Nebuch, the guy, will go bankrupt spectacularly. Or Pissom suddenly in the Scala Shiver Lako, he'll go right down the pipe action again. Mama, sometimes he can reach proportions. And the guy is so broke and he's being chased by creditors. Oh, look how cautious I am. Look what I drive. Look what I wear. Look what I live. Yeah. He said, what will happen later? Yeshlem Shivra in the cave, Lev Mesharin on them. They're going to have broken hearts and be broken people. Don't waste your money, spend what you need to spend. He said, and spend on good things. He said, then everything will go good for you. Now, okay, so there you see how perceptive Gedolei Yisrael are. Right? Now, the amazing thing, I've often wondered about it. Yeah? How is it? How is it you find Gedolei Yisrael? What did he ate today?
few beans, pomegranate.
A few greens. A pomegranate in what? Ellie, come on here. Ellie. Right? He probably had maybe a slice of bread. They can't this will anything.
They want to save it.
That's the minimum. But if it came to other people, comes to stuff in the chesed, then there was no limit. Then they understood. That's what it's all about. That's sorry. Well, it's very interesting. I'll tell you why the rebels don't do that, because it's not their money. They're given money to give out. People don't trust you. Right? But that's the Yisod. The Yisod was the Hotzaras on themselves. They were very strict with themselves. They only spent what they had to spend. Not because they were mingy. You don't blow it on yourself. Now there's not from non-Jewish perception who do show respect to these things. They say, "Oh, you drive a big car, you have a big house, must be successful." But invariably, it's not. You know, I met somebody. But this guy, he used to work. He was the head of a company, toy company years ago. He used to live in Whitefield. This guy had a very big house. He drove a Porsche and a top of the range Lexus then, 30 years ago. Anyway, he's now moved out. He commutes a little bit. He told me something. He said, maybe you'll know. To me, with the kids, I didn't know this. He said, any car you see today over 30, 40,000 pounds book price, he said, nobody buys cars anymore. Everything's leased. Everything is leased. He said, nowadays, he said, to be able to buy 80, you've got to be so wealthy to spend 100 grand on a car. He said, very, very few. The top few have got money for that. He said, any of these fancy. That's right, because they're leasing them. They're leasing them. Now, why? So why did they lease them?
Buy that for you, isn't it?
They don't own them. They don't own them. They want to retain the image, that's how they do it. They do it purely for the image. And it's actually very reasonable. It's a bit more reasonable within budget. So probably then, if tracking the cheshbon for your business, you need to think maybe it's not so as bad as those time is this time. If you can buy what you want to be, you want to hear it. Yeah. Believe this or not, this statistic. If you earn over £100,000 a year in this country, you're in the top 2%. Can you believe it? If you earn over £100,000, you're in the top 2% of this country. Yeah. You're very wealthy in the middle. Yeah. Right. And you'd be surprised how many people. I once met right. You know what I mean? Unless you got a factory in Bangladesh, then you can smash out of it. But so right. Right, but the nice thing is what the Chaim says, the thing what you're spending just to present an image. But if that image is not real, what you find out about people behind their backs, what the businesses they've had, things like that, pushing a button, credit companies out, there's another one, right? Right. My wife has an uncle who was in the Sunday Times. It was in the Sunday Times top 1,000 list. He was in the top. Now nobody noticed it. Nobody noticed him at the time when we looked. It was at 751. So how come nobody noticed him? He did something very clever. My uncle has an uncle. He's in the top 1,000. No, he's in the top 100. He's in the top 100. See, we'd be here, right? So how did he do it? How did he do this? In Bristol, instead of Hendon Gold's Green, he had it registered in Bristol. So nobody noticed his name when they were in this list. And so, based in Bristol, industrialist based in Bristol. No one had to, it was him. No one had. Right? Freshwater was in this. He was at 149, I think it was. Right? So, but here everyone knew the name for a start. And B, he registered in London. You know, he had his, he was where everybody knew he was to be. And I happened to know a guy who he's known to be a wealthy guy, but people don't realize how wealthy. His registered offices are in Prague. Yeah. What's who he is? His name's Lady Goldman. Registered office in Kerosene. Right? Yeah. Yeah. Lady's got it. He's got a major property house in Kerosene. He's got the toilet in the corner. Anyway, so no.
It's made out of cold.
No, but seriously, right? So this guy was very clever. He's got businesses here, whatever. So people know him as a Gavir. He's a Gavir. But his real assurance is out of the country. So no one knows. No one's going to keep looking for whatever. But how did it come out? Somebody once asked him, could he get an apprenticeship with him? So he said, well, yeah, I don't mind. He said, but the problem is, my office is not here, they're in Prague. So you give it a thing, and you don't have to present this image. You don't have to do this, because what you don't think to me, you don't think of you, he doesn't care to about other people. They don't care about you. They're not even looking at you. They're busy running their own lives. It's just a double perception of heaven. Yeah, A, it's silly to live looking over the colour of the neighbourhood what? Right? Yeah. You're looking over your shoulder all the time. Be who you are, be yourself, and do what's right. And you'll be successful. Very much you'll be successful. But people the whole time, I'm looking over their shoulders. What will people think if I do this? If I daven in that shul, what will people think of me? If I don't wear a hat, people, we live the whole time with this false image of what's the enemy thinking of me the whole time. They're not even thinking of you at all. And if they do, it's not going to make any difference anyway to you. Spend it what's important instead of letting everybody stay with you the proper you've got.